Perfect. So we are officially live and we have so many amazing people with us today. We have a whole group of hosts who are just beaming with energy for our read along this year. So before we even start, I want to just thank all of you here in our studio, as well as our co-hosts that are in our comments and just not with us today. Noah, Christy, and Sarah. Thank you all here. Ramsey, Laura, Victoria, Ryan, and Uno. Thank you so much for joining me this year. I want to go around. For some of us, we may not know you. Some of you have been on my channel before, some not. But I thought we would go around and just introduce ourselves, maybe just your name and what your channel is, and then we'll kind of just go around clockwise. So Ramsey, if you want to go first and just introduce yourself, and then we'll go clockwise around until we come back to me.
My name is Ramsey. I run the Rajathon YouTube channel. Even I have trouble saying it sometimes. And I like to review books. I try to go a little bit more in depth, kind of explain magic, do some fantasy, sci-fi. Recently did some Faulkner lately. And so enjoying classics as well. Tried starting a podcast and I realized I didn't have time for it. So I kind of put that on the back burner, but hopefully get back to that soon. And I am the Discord host. So thank you for everybody that has joined my Discord, and hopefully we have a great, wonderful discussion there as well.
Yes, and thank you very much for hosting that Discord. I know that that is a huge help to me. Laura, do you want to go next?
Sure. Hi, everyone. I'm Laura. My channel is Book Bubbler. I read a little of most everything. And I made up the bingo boards. I hope you guys are enjoying them.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
I'm Victoria. My channel is A Musical Bookworm, and I attempt to run a booktube channel. So the next two videos I have are actually, I think, going to be music themed, but there will be books eventually. And yeah, I'm really excited. I've never read Jurassic Park and just fan of the movies and the music, so super excited.
Awesome. Thank you.
My name is Ryan. I'm from the channel Seeking Stories, where we unlock the secrets of your favorite books and movies. Mainly books these days. I haven't done any movie content in a while, so this will be a good way to kind of balance it out again, doing Jurassic Park the book and Jurassic Park the movie. I've never read the book before either, but I've seen the movie a bunch of times, so I'm super excited to get into those comparisons.
Very cool. And last but not least...
Hi, I'm the replacement. Crypto couldn't make it today. I'm his understudy. I'm from the channel The Codex Cantina, along with my recording partner, Crypto. We do a lot of literary fiction, but break out into lots of other stuff every now and then. And this is very important read for me because this was the book that got me into reading. So excited for this.
Very awesome. And those, stories of how we get into reading are always so impactful. And I think they're a big part of, us even being on BookTube. A lot of us, we tell those stories often. They're usually one of the stories that our viewers ask us about, why did you want to start a BookTube channel? And it usually stems from that original, story, how we got into reading. So, bouncing off of that, and before we get there, I'm Danny. This is my channel, Spinelli Speaks. I'm here for all things read-along related, and most of you know me, and if you don't, I apologize that I did not introduce myself, but I'm Danny. But getting back to that, as we think about this Jurassic Park, and some of us kind of alluded to this, what was your first experience with the book, or what was your first experience with the movie, or both, and was it a good experience or was it a bad experience? And Una, since you just brought it up, why don't you head us off and we'll go the opposite direction this time around?
Yeah. So I did math this time. I'm not really a math guy. And I realized I've been telling this story wrong my entire life. I have told everyone that I read this book in third grade in 1990 when it came out. But then I did math, and I was like, okay, when was the book published or the movie published or whatever. And it didn't come out until 1993, 3 years later. And I was like, wait, how could I have read the book but had already seen the movie? This doesn't make any sense. So I realize now I actually read this in 93 when the movie came out, in 6th grade, so when I was 11 years old. And it was one of those ones where I loved the movie. I mean, what 11-year-old doesn't love dinosaurs? Anyone here with kids? I mean, you guys have to know a lot of times kids are just so attracted to dinosaurs. I would go to the bookmobile that would drive around and just check out books on dinosaurs. And then when I saw the book, I was like, I'm reading this. I'm all about this. And I was like, this is amazing. Like, I didn't know books were cool. Like, why didn't teachers make us read these books? These are sweet. So ever since then, I've just been on a very fun journey of just enjoying reading.
Awesome. Thank you for that. Ryan, do you want to tell us a little bit about your experience?
Yeah, sure. So yeah, again, I've never read the other books before. I have my copy that I got at Barnes & Noble. I've been eyeing for like 10 years. So I'm like, I'm finally gonna go and like get the good one. Put it off for too long. But I saw the movie, I think in the early 2000s. It was kind of like in my kind of peer age group. It was like one of those rite of passages. Like when you turn 13, you got to watch Jurassic Park. So I think I think it was me, like, I think it was around 12. My mom and dad are like, you can watch it now. If you like, no, I'm going to wait till I'm 13. Like, I'm just like, that's the rite of passage, and saw it and just completely loved it. Loved the story. Loved, I have a filmmaking background. And even as a 13-year-old, I love making movies. So the visual effects of the dinosaurs blew me away, and wasn't as impressed with movies 2 and 3 as they came out. But that first one, even looking back on it now, I rewatched a few scenes recently, and just the way that John Williams does things with the music, with the score, and realizing, I'm sure we'll get into this in some other videos, but, not all the dinosaurs were CG is computer graphics, as a lot of people think. There were a lot of practical elements used. So that kind of that marriage of practical to visual effects never quite been done before. And that just blew my mind as a 13-year-old wannabe filmmaker.
Awesome. Victoria?
Yeah, I have never read them, but I had a few movies that we would play over and over growing up that we had on VHS, and Jurassic Park was one of them. And I want to say I was maybe like upper elementary school when I saw it for the first time, but we would like fast forward through some of the scary parts, mostly scenes with T-Rexes involved. We would fast forward. But yeah, it's just that movie, it was just a staple growing up. There were a few we would watch over and over, like Indiana Jones, Jurassic Park, Star Wars. Like those were like the big 3 that we would just watch all the time. And it's funny, so I teach young students music, and sometimes I'll play tunes for them. And it's interesting because no matter how far the generations progress, if I play the Jurassic Park theme song, they usually know it. And I'm always surprised because it means it's still a staple. It's just one of those movies, I think, that's just gonna be constant. So I always find it interesting that my 9 and 10-year-old students, they always know the theme song. So it's time to read the book.
Yeah.
I can think I haven't read it before.
It was an amazing theme song.
Yeah. Yeah, you never forget it. And I think too, as studios start to resurrect movies or themes, maybe if they do a remake, but for Jurassic Park, for instance, they did a whole new franchise. I think it brings back, the old movies, and
that's a big part of it.
This generation feels like it's new to them as well. So definitely, I remember when we let our stepdaughter watch it, and she's like loves it just as much as we did. So yeah, very cool. Laura, how about you?
I am clearly the oldest person here. So the book came out when I was in 7th grade, and I remember people talking about it, but like I was reading cool stuff, so I didn't like pay attention, But then in 93, when the movie came out, that was 9th grade. And it just was like everyone watched it, all the sleepovers, everything. We just watched it on a loop with Indiana Jones, I think, too. And one of the Star Wars, I forget which one. And I always heard about it, was always there. And being a big music person in choir and in band and in orchestra, major nerd here. We like played theme songs and did everything, and then I thought it was 93 or 94, but I just checked my yearbooks and it was 95. I was in color guard and band, and we did a whole like on the football field. We traveled all over the state doing this stuff. So like I heard this music and this theme song for a solid year all over the place, which was really great. But I have never read the books. I've only seen the first movie like probably 10, 12 times, but never seen any of the other movies. So I don't know anything about anything. Just the loose storyline with the first book and because of the movie, and that's it. So I'm really excited to see what this is all about, you know.
Absolutely. Ramsey, how about you?
Well, I've been a dinosaur fan like forever. Started with the Land Before Time. I had all the, when Pizza Hut had the Land Before Time cups, those were our bath, water over the head cups. Ducky and and so Jurassic Park was like a natural progression for me, and then it was like Jurassic Park and Addams Family were the two VHS tapes that worked. So we used those all the time. But I just love how it's pretty much a horror movie that was brought to the masses, and like it's still scary today. Like Ryan was talking about the practical effects. I went back and watched it, and the new was Jurassic World. Those are good too, and they've really ramped up the horror. Like that second one, I mean, was legitimately scary. Where they were chasing through the old it was like a personal museum, I guess was what it was. And just iconic scenes, iconic poses when we do the bingo boards and you guys get my pose. I'm excited for that. So
Nice.
I know Ange from Ange's book chatter, she was like, Danny needs to make a montage of all of our poses, and I'm like, that's a really good idea.
I don't know if you guys want it with the unbuttoned shirt, though. I'll probably just wear a regular shirt.
I'll be buttoned up.
Dealer's choice.
Dealer's choice. There you go. Very cool. Were you all set then, Ramsey? Awesome. Well, for my experience with Jurassic Park, first of all, I have not read the book. In fact, I didn't even know there was a book for most of my life up until probably 10 years ago. Had no idea that there was a book. I, grew up in the 90s, quintessential 90 kid, all those movies that you watch over and over again. So very similar to Victoria's story as far as, watching those movies on replay and you just know them. So you're like ready for the goat to disappear. You're just like, when's it going to come out? And you're still surprised. So Jurassic Park, I couldn't tell you the year or the age. I just know that I've always watched it. It's just always. So since birth, I've just watched this movie. I've seen the first, the second, not so much the third. I've seen the third probably at least 10 times, but it's not my favorite. There's a certain character that survives that really just angers me because there's no possible way he could have survived, but 'tis not my movie. But the first one for sure, like I could probably recite the entire movie. And there's a lot of people that don't like the second movie, but I actually do like it because I love Jeff Goldblum. So more of him is amazing for me. I haven't had any experience reading, and I actually have not ever read Michael Crichton at all. So I'm really excited to read a new author, but also read a book of a movie that I absolutely love. And it has been one of my, staple, go-to movies. Like, oh, what do you want to do? I don't know. Oh my gosh, Netflix has Jurassic Park. I'll just watch that because it's comfort. And yes, it's horror and it's scary, but it's so comforting. It's so comforting. So, yeah.
So funny story about that, bitch. Like it being a go-to. I used to play in a band, okay, and we were recording in the studio, and we needed some like atmospheric intro music, and we didn't know what to do. And my best friend and I were obsessed with Jurassic Park. We're like, let's sample Jurassic Park. So that opening part where the chords are creaking because the power's down and the Tyrannosaurus Rex is coming to the edge. That like we took that and that became the intro to our CD because we were obsessed with Jurassic Park. We're like, this is perfect.
That's awesome.
That is awesome. So we have a lot of really great comments in the comment section for everyone who's watching. It really sounds like similar stories. People who may have seen it in the theater or, have watched it as a kid. We have a lot of people out there. So I want to say thank you to all of you as well who are viewing us in live or in replay. So thank you so much. It is so nice to have such a fun group of people participating in something that is so nostalgic to all of us. And I think it's going to be super fun. I know that Sarah, who is co-hosting with us, and she's in the comments, she's mentioned that she's already started reading and she can't stop. So I'm excited to jump in. I can imagine it's probably one that's going to be hard to put down. And I forgot to mention, and I'm actually going to probably allude to this later, so I won't say it now. But yes, Land Before Time, that was like that's your introduction to Jurassic Park. Like, watch Land Before the Time so you know what all the dinosaurs are, and then you'll know who everyone is in Jurassic Park.
Well, then you had Land of the Lost, the TV show.
Oh, yep.
And, that helped out as well.
Yes.
Tree Star.
Okay, so let's jump on through so kind of getting back to talking about the book itself. And I know, again, some of us have alluded to this, but can we go around and just reiterate, and for you in the comments as well, let us know, is this your first time reading or is this a reread? And what are you most looking forward to in reading this duology? Ramsey, do you want to go first?
Sure. If you guys have followed my channel for a while, I get used books. I go to Goodwill and thrift stores and stuff. So I found both of these and they kind of match. I don't know if they were done the same time. But I've never read them. But the first Michael Crichton book that I read was Sphere. And he does this really cool thing where he studies his science, but he's not going to bore you with it. So he has the main character while they go and they live underwater for a while. And he has the main character fall asleep during the scientific explanation. So he doesn't bore you with the science. It's in there, but he's not going to like hit you over the head with it, which is great. I think that's one of the coolest things that an author can do. And I've actually listened to him talk. He's got YouTube interviews out there, and I'm really, really excited to read more of his work. Yeah. I know they're not only seeing the movies. I know they didn't follow the book as well as some things do, but I'm very excited to read these books, but I've never read them before.
Awesome. Laura?
Yeah, first time for me too. First time with Michael Crichton. I tried to read Sphere once before, and I think it was due at the library, and I thought I'll get it later. And then like 30 years later, I never got back to it, which is very on brand for me. But yeah, first time reading both, and I'm really excited. I don't know what to expect. I mean, I do because I've seen the movie, but I don't know what to expect. I'm not sure about like pacing or how he does characterizations or anything. I am really curious to see how this movie got pulled out of this book, so just looking forward to it.
Awesome. Victoria?
Yeah, this is my first time as well. And then I actually have read Michael Crichton before. I've read Timeline. So I think there might be a movie of that too, but I've never seen it. I'm not sure if it's good or not.
It's not bad. It's got Paul Walker in it.
Okay.
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah. I read Timeline in maybe like high school. I think I was a teenager, maybe even middle school. And I just remember it being my first adult thriller book. Like, I think I bought it in the grocery store, like on the grocery store rack. And I was like, oh, Michael Crichton, I recognize that name. And I read it as a teenager. And I remember it being my first adult thriller. And I felt really cool for reading it. So that's my only Michael Crichton experience. And I am also, like Laura was saying, I'm curious of how he does like perspective as well, because like when I think of the movies, like we see things from kind of everyone's perspective at the same time, and I'm curious, like, do we have one main character perspective? Do we bounce around perspectives? I'm wondering how, like, who, like, through whose eyes do we see the story? So I think that'll be interesting.
Awesome. Ryan?
So yeah, this is also my first time reading this book, and Michael Crichton overall. Victoria, I actually almost picked up Timeline a bunch of times at the used bookstore, but I saw the movie and didn't care for it too much. So I'm like, maybe some other time. That was years ago, though. I think the thing I'm most excited for, kind of like what a lot of you have alluded to, is the book to movie side of things, especially because, and I'm going to get my facts slightly wrong here, I think. It's been a while since I've read this. I think that when Michael Crichton was writing this, him and Spielberg were already working out some sort of deal to make the movie. So my understanding is that Crichton went into writing this book knowing that Spielberg was going to direct, or at least that Spielberg was very interested in directing one of his films. To my understanding, Spielberg and Crichton had tried to get a project together a few years earlier and fallen through. So this is kind of like their second go around on making a film. So it's always kind of interesting when like a writer goes into a story knowing that his work is probably going to be adapted, let alone by someone like Spielberg. So I'm interested to see how that plays out and how close or different the two stories are and what changes were made.
Absolutely. I think, and I think, Laura, you and I were talking about this. I think it was only meant to be just Jurassic Park, and because of that, partnership, they did Lost World because of the movie franchise, essentially.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that I love. Like, so that's why I'm so excited that we have all of these hosts, because so many of you bring so much awesome knowledge about these kinds of things. It's just so amazing. So thank you for sharing that, Ryan.
Yeah.
How about you, Una?
For me, I just want to see the dinosaurs mess stuff up. I'm looking for that fun, visceral reaction because my wife has never read the book, and together we shall read this for this month. So
fun.
It's always fun when you can kind of, just share that excitement with your loved one. So I'm going for the feels on this read through. Okay, I'm glad you guys are smart and have all these really cool things to look for. I'm just like, I hope the dinosaurs win this time.
Wouldn't that be fun if the dinosaurs won? I mean, they kind of do, I think.
Yeah, from a certain point of view.
The franchise is still going on. Like, my son, he woke up one morning at, I want to say it was either 3:30 or 4 a.m. Okay? Why? Because he knew there's this show on Netflix called Camp Cretaceous, which is ongoing Jurassic World. He knew season 3 was going to be released. By the time my wife and I woke up, he had watched season 3 in its entirety before we even got our morning coffees for the day. This show is still raging with kids. We just got an invite for our neighbors across the street for a birthday party, Jurassic World theme. So bring dinosaurs, bring Legos. Invites had, the T-Rex on it. So it's still going strong. That it was able to inspire decades of imagination of what could dinosaurs do.
Yeah, well, it's crazy on that note that movie 4, Jurassic World, broke box office records 14 or something, 12 years after the franchise started. That usually doesn't happen, but it made what, $1 billion in the worldwide, the 4th movie in a franchise, which was a reboot almost. Crazy.
Yeah. Well, and I think what was so great about that movie, and we're kind of going off on a tangent, which is okay. The best part about that movie is they continuously made nods to Jurassic Park. When he's wearing that shirt and she's like, do you think you should be wearing that?
Yeah, that's good.
That's awesome. So I think the fact that they know, there are people out there don't mess with our movie, and they just made it so much better. And they didn't replace it. They just continued it, and they're doing such a good job. And now I think I've only seen the first one of The World, because like Ramsey said, the second one looked really scary, and I'm like, I'm gonna have to work up to that, because I don't like scary movies, but I'm like, I freaking love dinosaurs. I really like dinosaur movies. So, and this is really the only one that I like, and I'm like, I gotta work myself up. But that that raptor blue just freaks me out, because how do you trust this thing? That is my, and all my whole life, and even now, like if I hear something, I legit think there's going to be a raptor coming out of nowhere. I've been to Universal Studios in the Jurassic Park area, and one year for Halloween Horror Nights, they actually had raptors coming out of the thing, and I was like, nope, I can't be here anymore. It's too real.
That's incredible.
It's the weirdest thing growing up, like as a young boy. Dinosaurs were so impactful on me. You know, Alan just put a comment in there. The first movie, the humans were actually afraid of the dinosaurs, as opposed to they kind of became more fearless later on. I was so terrified of dinosaurs growing up. I had this recurring dream where maybe once every couple of years, I would just dream dinosaurs were alive again, and they would like their eyes would come and peer into like the second story of your house, like looking for you and stuff. And I probably had this dream probably like 6-7 times in my life, and every time I just woke up like in a chilling sweat because of just how scared I am of what would you do if a T-Rex is looking in your window? What are you gonna do?
Pee my
Right?
pants.
Like yeah, it's the most terrifying thing. So I think the movies and the book too, they get to the core of a primal fear that some people have of just this as old as time creature that you couldn't stop without someone else. Like you need military, you need science, you need stuff you don't have in your home to stop this, and that's terrifying to me.
Yeah. No, I definitely agree. And I think that a lot of those scenes come from the second movie because of their location. And I still have a fear of, and there's a specific road that this happens to me on all the time, because what happens is it's a stop sign before you get onto the highway, but it's like 3 lanes. So if you get stopped and then you're stuck between all these cars, I'm like, dude, if a T-Rex comes right now, there's no way I'm getting out of here. Like I'm done for. Like every single time. And this is, you know, decades after this movie has come out, I'm still like, can we go? Like, there's gonna be a T-Rex anytime now. I just don't like being like in those situations. Like, if something happens, I'm not getting out. He's just gonna squash me.
Well, if you hit the sign on the way to the dock, and the arrow will never show you the right way, it'll just spin.
Yeah. Oh. Yeah, but I mean, Una, you hit the nail on the head. I mean, these images just live with you forever. And I mean, how many, you know, movies or books can you really say that happens with, you know, and we love it. Like, it's not like a fear where, you know, no, never again. It's, you just want more and more and more and more. So very cool. So for me, my answer to this question, and I think I said this before too, but I have not read, and this is my first time with Michael Crichton. I do have a few of his books because, like Ramsey, I'm a thrifter. I thrift all of my books. So both of my books, and they actually match, which is really nice. I got at thrift stores. One at Goodwill, and one I actually found at the dollar store, brand new. So that was crazy.
Nice.
But they match, which was super cool. And then I got Laura. I found yours as well. But I also thrifted Michael Crichton's Timeline. And then I also have his Dragon Teeth, which I have no idea what that one's about, but I have that one as well. I have not yet read any of them. So I'm hoping, because I have all these books, that, you know, maybe by reading Jurassic Park, I will get to those other ones faster because I will enjoy the writing style. And what I'm really looking forward to most for this duology is really just bringing that nostalgia, you know, more internal. You know, for me, the movies really stick with me, but words, I'm a visual and written learner. So I feel like the words are really going to just like sink in, and I'm going to absorb so much more. And not that I don't understand the world of Jurassic Park and how the world works and how these, you know, dinosaurs were created. But sometimes I don't even care about that part of the movie, and I just like go right past it. And then I'm like, wait a minute, when it gets farther along in the storyline. So I'm hoping that by focusing in on the books, I will have more of a scientific understanding of, okay, so that's what he meant in that one scene in the third movie when he said, so that's what I'm hopeful for. And just to see how and what they may have changed, because I know that they do. I know that there's a lot that doesn't translate from the books. And I'm going to be perfectly okay with that because there's nothing that will take me away from my movies. But I'm just interested to see cinematically, and I think, Ryan, you're going to help us a lot with this, how they decided what to keep and what to not keep, or what to change to make the movies what they are today. And it's just really exciting. And I'm most excited about reading it with all of you guys because Crime and Punishment last year was the boss. And this year is going to be amazing because it's going to be so action-packed that I think we're just going to my cheeks hurt. I'm smiling so much. We're just going to have, to get ice packs by the end of each live show. So, yeah.
Absolutely. Christy raises up a good point. She said she's been on a roller coaster that was inspired by this with the T-Rex popping out. And there's a water ride that just got redone this past year at Universal. It's interesting that these media, the book, the movie, they're now interactive with these rides where you can literally be put in a situation where a gigantic 30-foot, dinosaur is coming out at you. It's so cool how it's becoming just this immersive reality for us to be able to do these sorts of things. Have any of you guys ever done any of those dinosaur rides at Disney or anything like that?
Yep.
They're intense.
Yeah.
They're intense. And they just redid the Universal one. If you go online, you can do a 4K experience of it. And it's just oh my gosh, that's amazing. You have to check it out. It's really cool.
Yeah.
This last summer, I went to Universal Florida and we went on the Velocicoaster and I almost died.
Yeah.
I thought I was going to die. But it was really fun, but I thought I was going to die.
Yeah. I follow a lot of Disney vloggers because I'm weird. And they talk about Velocicoaster a lot. And so so they can't film when they're on the coaster, but they film in the queue as they're going through. And the amount of theming that, and I'm sure, Victoria, you can attest to this, and I know Leslie has probably been there quite a few times as well, but the amount of theming just goes to show, again, the amount of work that the entire franchise, as the movies, the shows, the rides, all of them, they're doing this for us. I mean, it's more than just a book. It's more than just a movie. They really, to the fine tune pieces of everything. I've seen it so many times. I feel like I've been there. And I have been to Universal years ago, and I did the water ride. And the very end where you're like, no, it's really, I think it's really going to get us this time. And you're on there 10 times and you're still, every single time you get to that point where that T-Rex is coming, you're legit it is going to get us this time. It's really going to. This is going to be the time it gets us.
Yeah, we're going to Disney this December.
Oh, wonderful.
Hopefully. We'll see. And it's my son's first trip out there. And I've told him, we've watched the videos of the Carnotaur that pops out at the end of the land ride one, not the water one. And he is so excited for it. I'm like, are you sure you're not going to be scared, buddy? There's lots of lights. You're going to be moving around. I hear, sit on my lap. I'll shake you around as you're watching this video to give you the full experience.
Put him in a laundry basket.
Yeah, but I can already tell you, we're buying figures of the dinosaurs. We're getting, that candy, that comes in the store. We're totally geeking out on that stuff when we're there. I'm just so excited for it.
Yeah.
That's so awesome.
We've all been kind of bringing up childhood stories. Do any of you have any other stories or experiences that you had because of, or with Jurassic Park or Lost World?
Well, something that we've recently done, and as a Christian, I've always wondered where creation stood with dinosaurs. And so Creation Ministries International has a thing where creation talks about what happened with dinosaurs. And he did a whole study about how most likely juvenile dinosaurs were put on the ark. And what we see or saw as dragons, because dinosaurs a name that was made up in the 1800s for fearsome lizard, because when they found the bones, they saw it as fearsome lizard. So we probably killed dinosaurs out because they harmed our sheep or our crops or whatever. And really cool talk. I ate it up like candy. And I know not everybody's a Christian and doesn't believe in creation, but for me, it was an amazing dinosaurs for Christians. So it was cool.
Yeah. I think it wasn't the last time I was in England, but the first time I was in England, it was the Natural History Museum. They had some original fossils from when they originally, and then they kind of had that story of how they came up with dinosaur. And it's mind-blowing to see. I mean, we know it. We've seen it. We've seen Night at the Museum. We know fossils, right? But when you see like original, like what they were digging with, and it's incredible. It blows your mind to think that over however many years ago this was found, but however many years ago before that, it was there. It's just amazing. And yeah, I don't know. For a childhood experience for me, I didn't really get into dinosaurs until after I saw Jurassic Park. But my youngest brother, Alex, we always thought he was going to be an archaeologist because he loved dinosaurs. Everything was dinosaurs. He would bury things and then dig it up. He was really into dinosaurs. And now it's like, I'm thinking to myself, like, maybe there will be future children and they will be boys and they will love dinosaurs too, because I will put dinosaurs on everything. Have an excuse to have dinosaurs everywhere. My husband actually bought me a dinosaur toy for my birthday. So I'm like super excited. And he's like, you are weird. You're like 35 years old and this is what you wanted for your birthday. And I'm like, yeah. I mean, this thing is so cool. Yep. If I go outside and my dogs, just looking at this, they run away, and I'm like, yes,
that's amazing.
Yeah.
So,
wield
anyone
such
else?
Power.
I guess one small minor thing too, I guess going back to the band thing, is every show that we played at live, my best friend, he played guitar for the band. And he would take these like really lifelike. He had two dinosaurs. One was like a small little raptor. One was a T-Rex. And he brought them to every show. And they sat on his 4x10 amplifier, and they'd watch us play every single show. And there's a time when it kind of came to like who's taking what stuff. And I said, I want those dinosaurs. That's a memory for me. And they sit in my room, and they're kind of like on my wife's dresser. And that's where they sit forever, and it's always just kind of like been a fond memory for me.
Yep.
Nice.
Yeah, you can't get rid of something like that. Awesome. Sarah left, so bye, Sarah. Thanks for stopping by. We'll see you next time.
Bye, Sarah.
This is a funny comment from Christy. Why do dinosaurs have such hard names when it's usually 5-year-old children who want to learn them all?
That's so true.
So true.
It's our attempt to grow our children's vocabulary quickly.
Yeah. Exactly.
Let alone mine. Try reading those books. I'm like, Pachycephalosaurus?
Yeah.
And then you'll watch like you'll watch like a kid's TV show. There's one called Dinosaur Train.
Oh yeah, Dinosaur Train.
Dude, that was a good one.
When he was in preschool, he'd watch that. And I always called it like the Gigantosaurus. Like it looks like Gigantosaurus. Like that's gotta be how you pronounce it, right? I'm watching the show and they're like, oh no, the Giganotosaurus. And I'm like,
oh my God.
Yeah.
How did Giganta become Giganotosaurus? Like that doesn't make any sense. Like that's just the way dinosaur names roll, man.
Yeah.
I saw a really cool study too that we probably overnamed dinosaurs because they had different names for the different stages. So you had like a young dinosaur had a certain name, juvenile dinosaur had a certain name, and then an adult dinosaur had a certain name. And we kind of realized they were probably all the same dinosaur. We just gave them different names because we never saw them live. So, so they're actually coming back and like compressing some of the names because we overnamed dinosaurs.
Well, I
That's
think you guys,
fascinating.
I never thought of that.
I think a lot of you guys come from the generation where we learned Brachiosaurus. We thought a Brachiosaurus was a separate line from like the Ultrasaurus and stuff, and now it's like, wait, that's not a dinosaur anymore? We made a mistake and it was just an Ultrasaurus? What do you mean like Pluto's not a planet anymore? Like, what's going on? Like, my whole education system's failing me now.
Stop ruining my childhood.
Oh my goodness. Anyone else with any final like childhood or I don't know, yes, like this is a pretty recent story, so
When I was a kid, we had this park growing up, and they had like kind of like a sandbox where you could dig up like a fake dinosaur. But like as a kid, you think it's real, and you're like, guys, I am discovering dinosaurs at the park, and it was just like so much fun, and you felt like you were really accomplishing something as a 7-year-old.
that's awesome. That sounds like a really cool park.
It was a super cool park. I want to go back.
Now, you guys were talking about Disney. If you go to Disney Springs, there's a restaurant called T-Rex, and the entire theme is dinosaurs. And they're animatronic, and they move. And at certain times, they do different things where they like the whole restaurant comes alive. And like you were talking in the park, they've got rubberized pellets, and you can uncover dinosaur bones. Like the kids' waiting area is uncovering dinosaur bones. It's we always eat there.
Where is
when we
this?
go to Disney. It's the big shopping area outside of Orlando. It's called Disney Springs.
Cool.
Really, it's an event all on its own. It's a cool place to go.
Very cool.
It's right next to the Lego store, or very close to it.
That's the
Oh,
best
and the
place to go,
Lego.
man.
I don't know if they still have it. Don't they have a dinosaur in the like water, or is that a dragon?
It's sea
It's
serpent.
a drag. Yeah,
Okay.
it's like a serpent thing.
Yeah. Very cool.
If anyone has money to burn, they're about to retire the Lego Jurassic Park set. Just FYI.
Oh no.
It's really expensive though.
Gosh.
Yeah.
Oh.
All those sets are so expensive, but they're so cool looking.
Like this one has like the big like door to the opening of the park, a giant T-Rex.
Oh man.
Got like 4,000 pieces, and it costs way too much money. But since this is Jurassic Park read-along, I figure I'd tell everyone that's gonna retire soon.
Oh my gosh.
My goodness. Well, for our final question, and we kind of been talking a lot about dinosaurs because, well, why not? Which is your favorite dinosaur and why? And I'll go first so that you have some time to think about it. But this brings back the Land Before Time reference because I used to watch those movies over and over again. And not, into the 20th movie. I'm talking about the first one, the best one. I loved Littlefoot. Like, adored Littlefoot. I cry every single time the part. And I always have loved brontosauruses. And then in Jurassic Park, when they feed the one in the tree, I'm like, oh my God, I love this dinosaur. So that is definitely my favorite. And I haven't even looked at the whole, all of the categories of dinosaurs. I just know that is when I think of dinosaurs that I love, that's the dinosaur I love. And it's all because of Littlefoot and his mom. And that's my dinosaur. So yeah. That's mine. So whoever wants to go next can jump on in and let us know what your favorite dinosaur is.
I'll go. I feel like my thunder just got stolen. Like, my Brontosaurus used to be my favorite, but then it turns out those aren't even dinosaurs anymore. They're Brachiosaurs. So I'll go with, did you guys, okay, I'll do the scientific name because nobody can pronounce it. But have you heard of a Pachycephalosaurus? Oh, it's so hard to say. Pachycephalosaurus. It's really hard to say. Those are the ones with the really smooth top of their head, and they headbutt.
They bash each other.
Oh,
Yeah.
Yeah, like the precursor to rams or whatever. I always thought those were kind of cool. I'd hang out. I'd have a beer with the Packy.
That's nice.
Nice.
He's the Australian dinosaur. He would headbutt you.
Clever girl.
Nice. Who wants to go next?
Mine, I googled it to make sure I got the name right. Ankylosaurus. They had the spiky tail, and then the I always thought it was super cool that they could defend themselves with like the ball on the end of their tail, and they could like wham hit you.
Yeah.
And they had those sweet spikes on the
Mhm.
side too, right? Like you don't want to go to
Yeah.
a concert with them; they're the worst ones to stand next to.
Yeah. No mosh pit.
Like that.
Yeah. I
Yep.
feel like there is a Pokemon that looks like that dinosaur. But maybe not. I don't know. All the Pokemon look like dinosaurs to me.
That's fair.
They kind of do. Yeah. Mhm.
Well,
How
I'm
about-
like,
Yeah.
And he was Spike in Land Before Time.
Yes, that's what I'm thinking of. I love Spike. I loved all of them. Petrie too. They're all good.
I fly? No, you fall. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Sorry, Ryan, you were saying something?
I would say, well, unlike the rest of you, I was terrified of the Land Before Time when I was a little kid and did not like it. I was a train kid, not a dinosaur kid. So dinosaurs did not come about for me until I was 13 when I saw Jurassic Park. But I think for me, it's a cliche answer, but I have a reason for it. I do love the traditional T-Rex because of what Jurassic Park did to the film industry. And it's a really interesting thing. So when they were working on pre-production for the films, they were planning on using stop motion animation for a lot of the dinosaur movements, and they had started building these miniatures, and they had got like the premier like miniature guy, stop motion guy like in the world to do it. And this one like visual effects artist was like, I can create a dinosaur in the computer that can move. And the supervisor was like, no, you can't do that, and don't you dare show that to Steven Spielberg because we're not going down that route. So of course the guy in his own time was a rebel, and he created this 3-second like animation of a T-Rex like running. And he knew that he was never going to get permission to show like this scene of Spielberg. So he just kind of casually put it like on a screen in the background where we knew Spielberg was going to be. And Spielberg saw it and he's like, what's that? Like, why aren't we doing that? We're doing that right now. And they had like a big screening for it. And apparently like George Lucas was there and he was crying because like 10, 12 years of like visual effects, like investment would finally paid off into like computer graphics. And that like changed the film industry. Like they had, there's not as many visual effects shots of dinosaurs in that film as people think. Mentioned that a little bit ago, but those shots like changed. Like we wouldn't have gotten so many, like we wouldn't have gotten Lord of the Rings, we wouldn't have gotten any of these big like franchises that we see nowadays, because that T-Rex, that one guy visual effects guy created the 3-second animation of a T-Rex running that like changed what's possible in movies. So that's why I like the T-Rex.
I wonder, here's my question to you, Ryan. When you go into these films, whether you do it for this project or the future, I want you to remember this question. That 3-second clip, I want you to look in the movies to see if it's ever playing in the background as like one of those Easter eggs. Like those things.
Yeah,
that's my challenge. If anyone out there is watching this right now, I would love to know, is that ever an Easter egg in any
challenge accepted. And if anyone wants to hear the full version of that story, there's a Netflix series called The Movies That Made Us. And you can watch the Jurassic Park thing. They have an in-depth version of that. That's where I got that from. So yeah, it's good. Yeah, I'll keep an eye on that.
That's a really good show. Very cool. Laura, Victoria?
Go ahead, Victoria.
I'm gonna have Danny's answer is also my answer. The Brontosaurus, because it was like the Vegisaurus, and I was like, that one won't hurt me when I was a kid. So I was like, I could be friends with that one because it doesn't like me. It likes veggies.
Yes, Mary, I do get that reference, by the way. Yeah, I think I like the pterodactyl the best. It freaks me out that this thing that's terrifying on land can also freaking fly, and you could not really find a great place to hide. You think you're okay, but they have probably better vision than you think they do, when like they could come and swoop and get you. Like, it just freaks me out. So I kind of like them.
Yeah,
I kind of like them.
Yeah. And I
Plus,
think
there was that pterodactyl in Pee-wee's Playhouse. What was her name? I always liked her too.
oh, what was his name?
Not Cherry. I don't think it was Cherry, but that was the chair, obviously.
Oh.
Terry.
Yeah.
It
But yeah,
was Terry.
Dinosaurs
P-T-E-R-R.
Terry.
Terry.
Terry. Pterodactyl. That's right. Thanks.
That makes sense.
And I think too, a lot of us in the movies, I mean, and I won't speak for everyone, but at least for myself, I really do like the raptors, the velociraptors, because they're incredible, but they also scare the living crap out of me. I know, like, if I were to be killed, it would be by a raptor. Like,
Yeah.
it would be a velociraptor that would kill me. And then even the pterodactyls in the third movie is where we really like get to see them in action. And I'm like, yep, I'd be dead.
Yeah. and I think what's kind of cool about the Jurassic World too is they like got to be a little bit more intelligent. Like they trained the dinosaurs to do things, and you're just like, whoa, a dinosaur is a weapon? That's amazing.
Yeah. Going from like foes to like kind of faux allies in a way.
Yeah.
I have a question for you guys. So since I've only seen the first movie and none of the other ones, should I skip the second one because I want to read the book first since we're reading it anyways? And should I start watching the regeneration movies now, or should I wait? What do you think?
How do you feel about spoilers?
I'll probably forget.
Yeah, the new ones wouldn't bother you then.
Okay.
If you're
It's a
gonna
respectful
watch those
reboot.
though, Laura, I would want to watch them with you. So you have to wait. That's my answer.
All right.
I'm a purist, and I would say watch all the ones first. But also, I know you're reading. Like, I wouldn't want you to be spoiled while, like, if you watch them while you're reading, you know.
Yeah.
But
I feel like Jurassic
Something I'll have
World
to
doesn't
watch.
really spoil the Lost World movie 2 too much. I don't think.
Okay.
I don't think so. I think you'd be kind of safe, but this is also, I don't know. I don't want to say it'd be safe, and then there's some big spoiler.
Right.
right, yeah.
Shoot.
Yeah,
Okay.
I like to watch things in order, and I think I want to say, even though there's allusions to the first movie, I want to say that the new movie, or the first of the new movies, I feel like you could see that and not have to have watched the first three.
Yeah. You wouldn't get as many of the
Yeah.
references, but it would still be a
Yeah,
decent watch.
it would still be
Okay.
enjoyable. You just wouldn't get the references.
Mhm.
Which I think a lot of teenagers nowadays probably started with the newer ones and then were
Mhm.
like, oh, I'll go back and watch the other ones, and then got the references thereafter.
Okay.
Yeah, that's true.
All right.
And then after you watch Jurassic World, then you can finally watch Jurassic Park in high heels, where someone took Jurassic Park scenes and CG'd in them walking in high heels for some reason.
That sounds amazing.
Well, and it's interesting because they pick these like moments when the way they're walking, it literally looks like they'd be walking in heels, and they
Yeah.
put dinosaurs in the heels and stuff.
Sure.
I bet it's
could be
based on that
entertaining.
throwaway comment from Bryce Dallas Howard's character in Jurassic World where she's like, I'm ready. In heels, really?
Yeah,
Mhm.
I think that was the one thing that irritated me about that movie is like, there is no way I can hardly walk in shoes like that. She is not running and getting the T-Rex in heels. Okay, it's not happening.
Don't underestimate BDH. She's got moves. Okay.
I mean, those shoes would have fallen off. The heels would have broke. I mean,
Yeah.
and the way she's running in certain scenes, those are flat shoes. Those are not heels.
It's the power of being Ron Howard's daughter.
Oh, she's so good though. Like one of the greats. Must be in the blood.
Mhm. She directed several episodes of The Mandalorian, just saying.
Yes.
Oh, that's right.
I saw that. Yeah, I think she will go on to do great things, just like her dad.
Agreed.
Okay, so since we all have outed ourselves as total geeks in the dinosaur world, which I think we're all okay with, I am going to again thank all of you so much for participating in this read along. I truly appreciate each and every one of you. And I appreciate everyone in the comments as well, whether you're watching with us live or you're coming back during replay. I'm very excited to be reading with you. And this is the beginning. We're starting our reading. We're gonna go off on today. I know some of you have started already, but we are going to read our first half of Jurassic Park. And we will get back together on September 18th which is a Saturday, I think.
Mhm.
Yes. It's a Saturday, and we will talk about the first half of this book at 1 p.m. Central Standard Time here on my channel. And the chapters, again, and in the description, you should have seen like it says to what portion. But in my book, it's to page 227. And the chapter starts with it's a Tim chapter. So I think, Victoria, not to like have a spoiler or anything, but I think we're going to see different perspectives. I think the chapters are going to show us who perspective it will be, which I'm excited about because I like when it changes the perspectives because you can see from different angles. And I think the movies do that to a certain extent as well. But yeah, I'm really excited. We have like 18 days to read this. And from what I've been seeing in the comments, it sounds like we're going to be able to fly right through this. So I hope that you all join us. You may see some of the same faces that you see here tonight, or you may see some different faces. But I hope you all can join us for that. And before we head out, we're just almost at the hour mark. Again, I want to thank you, Ramsey, Laura, Victoria, Ryan, and Una for being here tonight. Thank you so much. Anyone have any last comments or anything we want to share with our viewers before we head out?
Well, as you guys read it, make sure that I assume you have a link to Ramsey's Discord below. We're gonna have comments in the Discord channel to talk between now and the next live stream as well. So make sure you guys head there if you guys want to talk about how awesome the book is.
Yes, thank you for mentioning that. And I do believe, Ramsey, if you put the brackets, you can hide your the language in case you have a spoiler in there for people who may not be where you are reading yet. I think that's something that Discords have, which is really nice. And then for some of you out there who may not be reading with us or may be reading with us, Laura's bingo boards, which are linked in her announcement video, which her channel is linked below. You can do all bunch of fun things. The Jurassic Park bingo is a traditional bingo board, but just by reading this book, I think you clear like 6 or 9 squares.
Yeah, you clear 6 of the 9 are checked off if you want to double, triple up for everything. Mm-hmm.
Awesome. Anything else? Okay. Well, to everyone out there, thank you so much for joining us. Thanks to our hosts for being here. And we are so excited to start reading and to catch up with you in 2 weeks on September 18th at 1 p.m. Till then, happy reading. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.